Hello and welcome to the show. I'm your host, Jonathan Giles, as always. On tonight's show, the 12th of February, we'll be reviewing our 6-0 thrashing of Moyse's Westham side at the London Stadium yesterday. At the end of the show, we will look ahead to Saturday's Premier League fixture versus Vincent Company's Burnley side at Turfmoor, live on Premier Sports 1. So sit back and enjoy the show. I'd like to apologise for Ozzy there, interrupting my fine intro there. On this week's show, you're a very evil woman, Ivy. Eamonn Donnelly, how are you?
Evening, lads. Evening, Jonathan. I was watching Coronation Street there, and Ivy told Don to put a sock in it. And Don said, Ivy, love, we've had some great years together. But you are an evil woman, Ivy. So bad that they've named a plant and a song after you. Poison Flaming Ivy. All right, we're all good. Yeah, we're good.
Have you got that out yet, Justin? Yeah.
Ivy, if you're listening, you're more
Very good.
We love our Ivy here. I'm also joined by our UK gooner, Ozzy, Carl Ozzy Osborne. How are you, pal?
I'm all good, mate. I'm all good. You? All good?
Not too bad. I'm loving the hairline. It's getting better by the week.
It is. I'm amongst good company here, right?
You're starting to look like Ian Rooney every week. It must be the gut. I'm also joined by the finest baker around, John Media. How are you, John?
Nice to be here, Johnny. Nice to be here.
Every little helps. Thanks for coming on, lads, as always. We start, as always, with our match review from yesterday. A 6-0 thumping of Westham. The Hammers got hammered. Just like to get that. 2 goals by Bukayo Saka, William Saliba, Gabriel, Trossard, and Declan Rice got the goals. A few notes from myself. Bukayo Saka, the youngest player to score 50 goals for Arsenal since Frank Stapleton in the 1970s. It was also Bukayo Saka's 9 to 10 Premier League goals of the season. Leandro Trossard's goal was Arsenal's 8,000 league goal. The 7,000 was scored by Andrea Sharvin, and the 6,000 was scored by Mers. A bit of a history lesson there for everyone. It was West Ham's worst home defeat since 1963, and it was our biggest away win since 1993 when we standardly edged 7-0. Long may you continue, I think we'd all agree. Onto the match, more importantly. Declan Rice's corner from the left was perfectly headed home from William Saliba for the opening goal for ourselves. Areola stood really no chance, but before that, which led to the corner, Leandro Trossard's shot probably deserved to go in. It was well saved by Areola, and that really kick-started the day for us. A quite faultless display, I think we'll all agree, from start to finish. The second goal, Trossard's beautiful ball over the top, completely deceived Agard, the West Ham defender, and Saka just ran right through. And really, Areola, all he could do was to take him down, really. It's a stonewall penalty, and you could see after missing last year at the London Stadium, Saka, he wanted to score that, and you could see the conviction he put in it. And 2-0, and West Ham's heads really dropped. It was probably the poorest I've seen West Ham after beating us twice this season, to be honest. And that's really when the fans started to get their train ticket ready for Stratford Station. The 3rd goal, Rice's in-swinging free kick from the left, and there was Gabriel to bury home the header. Our set pieces this season has just been brilliant. You know, it's a new tool in the armoury for us. And Declan Rice from corners and free kicks, his deliveries has just been superb. You know, I thought he had a really good game now. We were saying on last week's show, he was going to go there and wanted a good performance after the 2 defeats that we suffered against West Ham. And I think he really, you know, he stood up yesterday. I thought the midfield yesterday was brilliant again. The Trossard, nice assist from Martin Odegaard, who had a great game. And the way he finished it in Ariola's top line corner, it was just class. He just never seems to deceive, you know. A great January signing from last year and 4-0, and it was really game over at half time. Saka got the 5th when he burst through the defence and smashed it home, low to Ariola's left hand post. It was quite clever the way Ben Wright was on the wing and he dragged out Emerson leading up to that goal, you know. And I thought Saka was brilliant yesterday as well. And then obviously the 6th, Declan Rice smashing a cracking strike from outside the box into Ariola's right hand post. Stood no chance, in fairness, Ariola. And that was around the 64th, 5th minute mark. And I thought we might probably deserve maybe to go on, maybe 2 or 3 more goals, you know, just to get above City on the goal difference. But I thought Eaton and Worthy, when he came on for his cameo role as a substitute, I thought he done quite well. He hit one over, but I thought his movement and his touches, you know, really good talent there. You know, I think we've unearthed a bit of a steal there. We saw him a small bit last season, but after yesterday, when you're in those type of leads, we probably might see him more, you know. I think all in all, it was this display. 16 goals now since the reset in January. 4 wins now, and as Arteta says, we're right back in it now, and hopefully with 13 games to go, it's going to be a very exciting end for us. Since John's come back, his first showing in quite a while. John, what did you make of the game yesterday?
Totally didn't expect that. I don't think anyone did. If I'm honest, in the build-up to this game, I was expecting a game very similar to the game at the Emirates. We'd have all the pressure, they'd sit back, defend the 18-yard line and attempt to catch us on the break. And in the build-up to I was talking to friends, and I said I thought it was very important we scored first, because the last thing we wanted to do was give them something to defend. However, the West Ham we're looking at today is nothing like the West Ham we saw just after Christmas. I should have paid more attention to their 4-0 defeat away to Old Trafford last week, because they were abysmal. They were really abysmal. Well, we started off exactly how we expected it. Arsenal on the front foot, Arsenal with all the pressure. The difference between this game and the game at the Emirates is I think we were moving it quicker, and the chances we were creating before we actually scored were better. We should have been 2 or 3 up before we actually went up. The quality of the chances, keeper pulled up a couple of great saves. And as you said in your build-up, I think once we scored, they threw in the towel. I was shocked at how poor West Ham were. Now, you can only play what's in front of you. It was great. Absolutely wonderful. After being there last season, at the game, myself and Eamonn were at the match last season, 2-0 up after 20 minutes, and to come away with a 2-2 draw was, the coin of phrase was so frustrating. But go back there this season and put in a performance like that, to put in a result like that, and I have to be honest, 6-0 flat with West Ham, it could have been anything. 6-0 up with half an hour to go, we started making the changes. You know, bringing on a kid like Wanyerdi, who had, you know, on a Premier League ground, he didn't look out of place. For such a young player, he definitely didn't look out of place. I know you can. You had to take out where West Ham were at the time. But fair play, he didn't hide. He wanted to get on the ball. And he tried to make things happen. An outstanding away team performance. I really, really shocked by how bad West Ham were. Really were shocked. But you can only be what's in front of you. And I had to be honest, I was grateful for that, because I worried when I seen their bench, because I thought the bench looked incredibly light. But in fairness, we didn't need anything, because they were that bloody bad. So, great performance. Well played, everybody. I thought Odegaard, outstanding. Trossard, outstanding. Everybody put a shift in. Havertz, I thought, played fantastic. Lucky not to get a couple of goals himself. It's hard to find fault with that performance. It really is. How 6-0 away win? How can you find fault with it? Give me more of them. It was great.
Yeah, and with Jorginho as well, Arteta wanted to play him, but I don't know whether he had a slight knocker or something. You know, but it's a great luxury to have when you've no Jesus, no Jorginho. You know, and you know that 11 players. You know, you couldn't find fault with any of them. I thought Kivior was quite good. Were you happy with it enough for him yesterday, John?
Oh, yeah, look at this. Everybody put in a shift. Everyone turned up. Everyone did what they had to do. We strangled the life out of West Ham. absolutely strangled the life out of them. They never got out of their own half in the first half.
Yeah.
And the bonus was we could make those substitutions with half an hour to go. Royce coming off, Saka coming off. You were able to do that, and it didn't change much. But it was great to be able to do that. And as I said, how can you fault a 6-0 win? And a week for those players to recover before we play again. Great.
Yeah, another probably tough game at Turf Moor against Company's side, but the form we're in since the reset, this team shouldn't really fear anyone. They should fear us, you know. Eamonn, very evil woman, Ivy, would have been very proud of that one, I'm sure. What did you make of yesterday's game?
Okay,
Explain,
I'll try and run.
John said faultless.
I have a good few points, mate. I'll try and get through them as quickly as possible. First of all, I was worried at the start, the first 5 minutes, when I saw how many touches the centre-backs were taking. And I said, oh, here we go again, you know. West Ham with the low block and all of that type of stuff. And then after 5 minutes, I realised it was a bit different. Because the movement in the final third of the pitch was much more dynamic. So they were happy enough to take the touches while West Ham were sitting low. But they had a clear game plan that they were going to mix it up. And something that Ozzy called for weeks ago after the West Ham Fulham game. Mix it up, interchangeability up top. Like Martinelli popping out on the right-hand side, Havertz. And I said, no, this is different. The centre-backs are taking their time moving the ball, but when it gets to the final third, that ball was getting fizzed around. That was different. And West Ham came with the same game plan to yesterday's game as they did at our place. And if everybody listened to me, everything would be okay. Ozzy and I and John all agreed that that was a game we should have won at the Emirates. And normally you would, even though, despite the meltdown, because we were better than them that night. We had more chances and all of that type of stuff. They came with the same idea, but we have a young, upcoming manager who learned from that. And the big difference was our movement in the final third was on a different scale than it was back in December. And I would dare to suggest that maybe when they were away in Dubai, they probably did a bit of work on that. Right?
I mean, you want sunbathing, Eamonn? No? Really?
Yeah, exactly.
Only Ben White.
So the next thing I'll say is Paul Merson, who doesn't get the credit for how astute he is as a football analyst, by the way. I mean, because, he's going to knit the beans on toast and all that, like, you know. He's actually a very, very astute football analyst, right?
He is, yeah.
And
He is.
His analysis of the game yesterday was Arsenal forced West Ham to surrender. That they just were relentless and they just forced West Ham to surrender. And West Ham, their players in the first half, after the second goal, never mind the third and fourth goal, they looked like, you know the way when a snooker player, everything is going wrong, you know, and then you have the commentary going, like John Virgo, you know, oh, he's had a rather unfortunate kiss on the brown. You know, so West Ham had a bit of an unfortunate kiss on the brown yesterday, and their players looked forlorn. And I texted, John gave a great response. I texted on the podcast meltdown thread yesterday. I reminded everybody of February 2011 when we were 4-0 up at Newcastle. And John, it was very, very witty, I have to say. He just put back, stop it, it's too soon. 13 years later. But that was never going to happen yesterday. Okay. The other thing I'd say, like I've talked about the interchangeability, but if you look, my criticism of the Arsenal against the low block was that by the time we got the ball out to Martinelli or Saka, they were double teamed and therefore were too slow. Yesterday, did you notice, if you watch it again, every time Saka and Martinelli got the ball, they weren't double teamed. There was only 1.5 people on them. So there was somebody on them and somebody trying to get on them. That means we were doing it more effectively and quicker. Hats off to the set piece coach. He's an annoying little dope, you know, for everybody else, but he's ours. So I keep saying, stick with him, give him a new contract because he annoys every other team. All the supporters of every other team that I've seen say, who is that little dickhead? But I tell you what, if you look at the set pieces yesterday, right, and it's no fluke. Before Christmas, we were conceding from set pieces. Yesterday, we weren't. We're back scoring. Like that's 11 goals from corners now.
Yeah.
Right? Now, if you look at it, you've probably looked at the first 3 or 4 corners and there's nothing really happening there. But the goal that Saliba got, everything changed. Because for the first 3 or 4 corners, everybody had stayed at the back post, dashed across the goal. They didn't do that for Saliba's goal. They stayed put. And West Ham were expecting a dash. West Ham switched off. Saliba gets a free header. That's work on the training field. The Gabriel goal, sure, everybody's offside. And then all of a sudden there's a quick movement. Somebody has to step back. If you're a defender, defending that, you have no choice but to take a step back. They had that time perfectly. Now, it depends on the delivery, and Declan's delivery was unbelievable. But that, hats off to the set piece coach for all that stuff. I thought Kai Havertz is getting better and better. He's winning the ball back and he's playing quick passes, and sensible passes. And he actually looks like an Arsenal player. Kivior is a real option. He has a bit of the dog in him, that fella. There's a toughness in him. You'll never get him to do what Zinchenko does. But guess what? My favourite player on this team, on the other side, did it. Ben White start coming inside. Now, Ben White, by the way, is a hell of a footballer. But to me, he is the personality of this team insofar as his attitude, right? And he's never the one over celebrating, he just gets on with it. As I say, get on with it. He just does that. But yesterday, he did that and more. He came into the middle of the field and actually did what Zinchenko does from the other side. As for Bukayo Saka, I told everybody on this show 2 years ago, we have a worldie on our hands. We have a few worldies on our hands, but he's definitely one of them. And for him, did you see when he was interviewed after the game? They said, "Well, you're the youngest player in 45 years since our own fella to hit 50 goals." Oh, I didn't know that. That's a good achievement. Though. He probably did know it, but he's very grounded. Now, I asked Frank Stapleton what he made of that, and he said, "I'm very happy for the man. And when I did it, I was wearing the moon boot. I believe that the moon is related to the tides." Anyway, so Frank Stapleton, by the way, was a phenomenal player. And, to have a guy like Frank Stapleton was 21 when he got 50 goals for the Arsenal, when we'd nobody else up front, because John Radford had just finished, But for Bukayo Saka to do that from the wing,
yeah, it's incredible. Yeah,
it's nothing short of incredible. And he was a menace yesterday, Saka. I mean, he was just on fire. I have to say, West Ham and ourselves have something in common. Seven Sisters FC, we can't stand the sight of them. It gave me no pleasure to see Orange fans leaving the way they did. And I'm sure most of the people who went to Upton Park were the ones who stayed in the ground.
Yeah.
I would imagine. So look, on the Etan Wanyeri thing, you say, how could you find fault with a performance, John? Well, I found somebody who did. Johnny Gugu, aka Sparky John. Why isn't he getting the young fellas on at 6-0 up? Right? I just texted him back and said, could you not just chill out and enjoy the rest of the game? The reason for that is we're professionals and we do things professionally. And another goal or two at the end of the season could make a difference. As you said yourself, Jonathan, we thought we might have overtaken Man City. So you don't bring on. But in terms of Wanyeri, what I loved about him, he has all the skills, that guy, right? But his physique. So if you compare him...
Big lad.
If you compare him to young Patino, who everybody said about Charlie that he was in kind of Fabregas style, but Charlie's too light. He's too light for that level. Ranieri has. I don't want to kind of go all Bellingham, but he has that kind of physique awareness, Jack Wilshere ability to kind of know just when to release the ball, except for Jack maybe left it a split second too late on occasions. But he looks as if he's going to be a player, and that's not. I'm not down on Charlie Patino. Lovely player, but he's the physique of Fergal Sharkey, and that wasn't great. And then the last comment I'll make is once again, David Raya looked like a real goalkeeper. And I'm sorry for all you Ramsdale fans, and I'm one of them, but Raya is a much, much better option in goal. His hands are safe. He's found himself into the team. He's celebrating with the fans. He's connected with people. And he looks like the real deal.
He looks like he feels like he belongs now, doesn't he? He looks like
exactly.
This is my job now. I belong here.
Exactly.
He's not looking over his shoulder anymore. He's not feeling out of place. He feels like, and he's showing it. I agree with you. He does look like, comfortable with the position now.
What I like
before Ozzy comes in, Jonathan, I think that throw out against Crystal Palace was a seminal moment in his Arsenal career.
Yeah, he came out for a few crosses yesterday, and you can see his confidence but collecting them, and it's a quick release as well, to get the team going again up the park, which is, I've noticed that. It's going to be tough for Ramsdale to break back in again, sadly, just before I come on to yourself, Ozzy, Eamonn, what did you make of Declan Rice's performance back at the London Stadium?
Declan, I was listening to the actual John Giles the other night, and he's saying, he's not a midfield general. He's good at what he does, but he's not a midfield general. Well, I understand what he's been, and your man asked him, well, what do you make of it? What do you think of a midfield general? And he started talking about when he went to see Johnny Haynes in the 1960s, and he was taking the ball off the fullback and the fullback. Declan's doing that. I think he still could be better on the half turn, but the rest of his game is sensational. And yesterday, like the speed at which he broke up play and transitioned it, he was phenomenal yesterday. He was.
If we go back to Eamonn, the quick question, but to go back to the game against West Ham or their place, he looked like he was almost uncomfortable playing against West Ham that night.
Was.
Conscious of where who he was up against, the fans he was playing against. Yesterday he didn't. Yesterday he just done his job yesterday.
But the team that night, John, looked to me like a team who had a season-long effort in mind and had kind of run out of gas. And Jonathan keeps calling it the reset. Definitely, Arsenal have tried to time their run to be in the shake-up when it matters,
And Johnny's disappeared.
Where Johnny, you're in this, mate.
Yeah, I can hear you, lads.
Yeah, we got you, mate. We got you back. We got you.
What did you make of the performance yesterday, Ozzy?
So yeah, I think we've touched on quite a few points, haven't we? But I'll go back to talk about Saka, if that's all right, because I know John was there last season, but when he stood up for that penalty, 1-0 up, and he had that penalty, it was a flashback there for me, and I was so nervous when he picked that ball up, and to be honest, I've said this about Bad Lad before, but I don't know how he runs with balls that big, Saka, because to step up and take that penalty, he must have been so nervous. The flashbacks of missing that penalty this time last season, or at the London Stadium, that made it 2-0, written a game off it. And I think, if had he have missed that, the game could have changed. It could have changed. It was at 1-0. It was crucial, and I don't think we sort of admire how much that must have took for him to take that. So yeah, I thought Saka was off my notes the same as you, Eamonn. I called him a menace. I think he was absolutely a menace. I'll tell you what, he must have legs made of vibranium, because the amount of tackles he was taking yesterday. So that one from Alvarez, I think it was, wasn't it? It was some sort of GBH. It was absolutely disgraceful. But it was constant. He was constantly getting kicked, and he kept getting back up and getting on with it.
Ozzy, just one little thing on that. He's one of the few players that knows when to jump.
Yeah.
Because that was a leg. That could have been a leg breaker. That tackle Alvarez made. Yeah.
But yeah, so sort of before the game, the announcement of the team, I saw the social media. It wasn't on our thread, but I saw a meltdown with the team. How we're going to get a result? We dropped Jorginho, which didn't drop him. We know he had a knock. And playing Kiwa at the back as well. And like I say, Kiwa had a shaky start, but he dusted himself off and just carried on, didn't he? And I thought he was pretty solid through that. I was going to say about the front three, but Eamonn's covered that perfectly. Really, that movement between Trossard, Martinelli, and Saka was it was relentless, and the centre backs just didn't know what to do. But yeah, it was for me. We talked about the set pieces already as well, but that was one thing I was critical. I'll hold my hands up. I was critical earlier on in the season. I think sitting where I did, we was always quite vocal because we're behind the Arsenal bench, but the set pieces weren't as effective. And I think since I know I think we've scored the most in the league from set pieces.
You have, yeah.
But now, I think it's 16 in total, including corners and free kicks and that. But Declan Rice since the Dubai trip, he's come in, and like you say, his delivery has been absolutely brilliant. And now, I don't know, you mentioned that Gabriel goal, Eamon. I didn't know if you noticed, but if you notice, he whispers in Declan's ear before he does it as well.
So
So it was completely planned, and that just makes it even more sweeter. But yeah, the two centre back goals, Saliba and Gabriel, just like good old Tony Adams. It just reminded me of his proper centre back finishes there, wasn't it? And but yeah, and sort of really good to talk about the other points I had was Trossard, and just what a little magician he is. Now I could be challenged on this, but I think as a starter in the starting 11, we've not always seen the best of him. I think we've seen the best of him when he's come on as sub. But he really looked at home yesterday, playing that sort of false nine position. And like I say, his movement was causing Martinelli and Saka to fill those little spaces in, and it was just the centre halves didn't know what to do with him. Zuma looked completely lost with him, to be honest. And they just couldn't keep up with him. And in those little spaces when Saka and Martinelli and Havertz was a lot more advanced than what we'd normally see, I think, yesterday as well. And I think that made a big difference as well. But it was just relentless in attack. And like John said, you can't really say any more than that. It's a 6-0 against the European champions. Don't forget, the European champions at Westham, as they quite like to remind us, champions of Europe. You know who we are. And don't forget, we've also beat all 3 European champions this season: Man City, Seville, and West Ham now. So we've taken out all European champions this season. So that's progress as well, right? And yeah, my final point is is about Odegaard as well, and the amount of running that he's done in the I think he must have covered about 26 miles yesterday in his running. He just didn't stop, and that press, he just doesn't stop, does he, Odegaard? And he's just been fantastic the last couple of games. That Liverpool game, he didn't stop. He didn't stop in this one. He's going to need a break at some point. And that's what I hope we'll see Smith Rowe come back as well. Because I think Smith Rowe took a little knock, but he's not going to be out long. And don't forget, we've got Tommy Asu coming back. I know he took a knock from the A. So that's going to strengthen things up. So the bench, it did look weak. And we didn't have to rely on it. And I'm hoping it's a similar sort of story with Burnley. We don't know, but we may see a couple come back for that. You talked about Ethan Nuera as well. I know I've said a few times on this pod about when I watched him against Northampton in the FA Trophy last season, playing for Arsenal under 18s or under 21s in the FA Trophy. And he came on against a League One side, a League Two side that got promoted that season, and he played against the first team 11. He came on as sub and scored 2 goals within 15 minutes. He made them look ordinary. This lad's going to be special, and I think he's going to be. I'm not getting carried away, but he's going to. We need to give him a game time. And what you hear on socials and that, but the players were whispering to get him on to Arteta, And if he's got the backing of the team like that, that says a lot about him, doesn't it? So credit to him. So yeah, that's all I've really got to say about it. I was going to say about Raya, but you've already covered that. And just a credit to all the West Ham's fans that stayed to the end and watched that. Really, it shows great dedication to wait till the final whistle so you can boo your team off and applaud our Declan Rice. So yeah, no, well done to the West Ham fans that stayed, because that was tough viewing. That was tough viewing for him. So the ones that stuck it out, fair play. And they did give some fans did give an ovation to Rice. Credit if credit's due there. But yeah, I won't forget all the ones that when they beat us at the Emirates, I had to drive for 2 hours listening to them telling TalkSport they was in a title race. So that's gone a bit Pete Tong for him, isn't it? But yeah, no, great all round performance. Can't say any more than that. It was fantastic to watch. Great day to be a Gooner. And yeah, come on the Arsenal.
I think the best move of the match in terms of West Ham was when the stadium announcer took his life in his own hands, saying at the end of the match, "Thanks for your support and have a safe trip home."
But I mean, I have to say now, I was there. It was
very tough to.
Sorry, Jonathan. I was there in the bridge when we got done 6-0, and I'd an awful scaldy hangover as well, because it was a Saturday morning game. I went over on the Friday, and I'd been King's headed.
It would be like you aiming to have one of them.
I don't know. When you go away, you go away. But it is a hard swallow.
It's demoralising.
6-0 down, but the ones that stayed there.
I didn't see many of them going away though.
What's that?
I didn't see many West Ham fans going home when they were beating us in the League Cup or the game at the Emirates.
Look, I have a soft spot for the Orange, so let's not rub it in there. They'll do it.
I do agree with Eamonn. They do that step behind for personally.
But they do us lots of favours against Seven Sisters FC. They do.
Yeah,
well. So let's just kind of let's understand.
I think would be
there's a connection there.
That result yesterday would be a harsh lesson, but it would be quickly learned. David Moyse will drill into them after that, but
I think David Moyse is dead man walking there, he's a very conservative manager. My brother-in-law is a season ticket holder, and he constantly says he's a bit of a one-trick pony, and he's doing great and all. They don't want him there. The fans don't want him there. They want something a bit different. And that might be a bit harsh on Moyse, but he is conservative, And yesterday, he came with the very same game plan that worked in December, and he didn't have the agility to change it when quite obviously, like even at 0-0, it was going wrong, because it was different. It was different. We were moving them all over the place.
We were up for this, yeah.
And that backs that point that you said earlier, Eamonn, about Mikel Arteta learning, because Moyse did do a job on him in the other two games.
Correct.
And we've learned from it. And that's what we've got to look at as Arsenal fans. If we ever doubt Arteta, he's learning. He's still learning on his job, isn't he? And I thought yesterday was such.
You learned the hard way, Ozzy. Yeah.
You've got to learn the hard way, haven't you?
He did hold his hands up. He did get the starting lineup wrong. He did admit that in the League Cup game. As 6 of the players that served yesterday were in that, So it's nice to win cup competitions, but the top clubs, is got rid of, because they have probably got stale there, but you can never, it will happen one day. Fans it is very disappointing to see fans going, you have to stick with your team through thick and thin.
I'd rather have a young manager who's learning. I'd rather have a young manager who's learning than somebody who's probably past his best with nothing to learn, because I think that's the natural trajectory of where we are at the moment. Just a sign that,
yeah.
Oh, Johnny, you still
he's
there,
a young manager, and he's yeah.
I know it's not a West Ham pod while Johnny's sorting his audio out. I know it's not a West Ham pod, but who do you think will replace him if he does go?
I have to be honest, I was just thinking about that as you were talking there about Moyes leaving. The start of the season, I really wished Eamonn on Bournemouth after the way they treated Gary O'Neill, and the way that Gary O'Neill's getting some good credit now at Wolves. I think he's doing a great job. But the guy who's taken over the Bournemouth's done a fantastic job, and I don't think he's going to be there long. So
yeah,
West Ham are looking for someone. Yeah, I think they can do a hell of a lot worse.
If I was on the board at West Ham, I'd be looking at Graham Potter and thinking that's a better fit for him than Chelsea was.
Yeah.
You know?
Good show. Yeah. That's a good show. Yeah.
For this rate, it'd be Big Sam. Well, Jose Mourinho. It could be Jose Mourinho.
No. The Irons would not have Jose. No, they just wouldn't.
Any more than we would, yeah.
They're much more a decent stock of Oxo cubes down there than those two horrible other London clubs, National Front FC and Seven Sisters FC. Anyway, Jonathan's gone, so will I do him?
Yeah.
So, Carl, who was your man of the match?
Man of the match. Well, I couldn't actually choose. To be honest, I'm gonna have to go Saka. I had Odegaard, Rice, possibly Trossard. I listed there, but I'm gonna go Saka because he was just absolute menace, wasn't he?
Saka was an absolute menace. And you know what? It was one of those days where, especially when he flipped that one, which I thought he should have taken with his right peg, by the way. Off his left. He never really had the angle to do that off the outside of his foot. But you just kind of went, is it going to be one of them?
A really good win, and that leaves us 2 points behind Liverpool now, and we got the goal difference down, which is most important. Was it plus 31 now, and Liverpool are plus 32, so it's game on again, lads, isn't it?
Did you see Jurgen Klopp's reaction to us getting the goal difference down?
No.
Did you?
No, it was like this. He did the job.
It's going to be, 4 games to go now. It's going to be a nice, as always, for us. Take it game by game now. And as Paul Merson says, if you're still in it with 10 games to go, you can start dreaming. But he said that last season, and it all fell apart, and after the Leeds game.
No, we're different gravy this year, though.
I think we've learned from last season. And yesterday was the start from the 2-2 draw last April, as John said at the start. We went out there and we wanted to kill that game early, stifle them, and we've done that. We move on to the preview for this weekend's game against Burnley away, 3:00. Vincent Company's side are bottom with 13 points. It looks like they're all but gone now, but he stuck to his style of playing, in fairness to him. He hasn't changed, and there's, if they do go down, hopefully they'll keep him as a manager, because they seem to like him there. Eamonn, we won at the Emirates back in November 3-1. Would you see something similar happening on Saturday?
Well, these are games you have to win, and you'd expect to win, but you have to be on it. And we were on it yesterday, and we have to stay on it for every game. John always says you have to earn the right to be there to get your superiority. But I disagree with you. He has actually changed the way they're playing. They were totally naive at the start of the season. They've been a bit more solid now, Burnley, and they've a bit more. Like, I watched the game at Anfield there the other day, and they actually hurt Liverpool before Liverpool scored. They got.
What did he make it, Darrell O'Shea? I thought he's done well, hasn't he?
What's that?
Darrell O'Shea at the back, he's done well there, hasn't he?
Yeah, but I think they're doing different things going forward. They were a bit kind of we want to play good football at the start of the season, and they were getting torn apart at the back. They've tightened up a small bit, but look, at the end of the day, if you look at their goals for and against Collium, the fact that they've won 3 and drawn 4, you have to go and expect to win there. We still have nightmares from Sean Dyche, and they're not a Sean Dyche team. We need to go there and win, impose ourselves on the game, and win the game 3-1, because they're always good for goal, Burnley. They can score,
Yeah, that new lad they got, I think, from Chelsea, Fofana, he missed a big chance at Anfield when it was 2-1. If that had gone in, it could have been a bit different, yeah. But yeah, they caused Liverpool a few problems. All right, they keep Ashley and Ashley, yeah. But definitely not as stubborn as Sean Dyche's Burnley teams in the past, yeah, where they kick you off the pitch. Yeah. John, what do you think for Saturday? Comfortable win or tough?
I was at the game where we beat them 3-1, and they were a handful that day. It wasn't easy. Wasn't the last half hour we started to get looking a little bit more comfortable. You thought we spoke earlier about young managers learning. That's company all over. His team played fabulous football to promote last season. As you said, he tried to keep it going, but he's learning as Eamonn says goes along. And as always, I'll say the same thing I'll say every time we play our game, we win this match. But we need to be careful. We need to give the opposition the respect they deserve. They're fighting for their lives. We're fighting for the title. We turn up, we win, but you got to treat them with respect.
Yeah, as Liam said last week, if you can make that 5-5 from the restart there in January, yeah, you can start. You can start building a bit of momentum because it's Newcastle, Sheffield United, Brentford, and Chelsea. And if Chelsea make the next round of cup, we probably won't even be playing them. So yeah, coming on to that international break. Yeah. Ozzy, on Saturday.
Yeah, it's just like Lad said, it's a must win, isn't it? You've got to, if we're going to stay in this title race, we've got to win on this. I think I was saying to the lads, I think Company's going to be a great manager. I just need to stick with him. I know we're not getting the results. I was looking through the Burnley fixtures; they've not really caused an upset at home, but that's the perfect recipe for an Arsenal game, isn't it? Always seems to be us when they show up against us. How many times we've done that in the past? And that's where we've got to be different. That's where we've got to show the difference. We've got to show the progress, and just fingers crossed we can get a result. If I was to,
but Ozzy, at least they haven't sacked him, because as long as I can remember in history, we always play a team at the bottom when they've just sacked the manager. And then they turn us over.
Yeah, the only danger we've got is we've got Porto midweek, ain't we? So one eye's going to be on that for some of the players, possibly. Long as we don't do that. But yeah, look, Arsenal have got to win. They've got to win, haven't they? So let's hope we do.
It should be a good match because with Arteta and Company, they were under Guardiola. You can see the win. So, maybe I don't expect probably Snell, but you'd be expecting us to keep that goal from. I'd probably go for 4-0 myself. I think Burnley are gone now. That didn't seem to be that kind of missed their fate, but I think that whoever scores the first goal, you see enough. Wait for us, get the game done early and bring on a few subs that don't get normally run out. Nice to see that. Now we're hopefully get another run out maybe when it's 6-0.
Stop. Now this is this is nonsense. You approach the game. That's the type of attitude. That's the type of attitude. If that permeated through the team, you go over in there and you take a beat. You go out there and you can put your best team out and you play and you suffocate them and strangle them, as John said, and get on top and you win your game. Don't be worried about who you're going to get on the pitch. Go and win the game, right? This nonsense about, we need to get and when you're early on it, no, we don't. We need to win the game.
Yeah, exactly. And talking of shock defeats, Crystal Palace would up against Chelsea. So is that a shock on the card?
No, Chelsea. Nothing with Chelsea is a shock, because do you know what? Just on that, Ozzy, I don't know whether you watched. Now, I cannot stand National Front FC. You know that, right? I watched them against Villa in the Cup last week, and they were unbelievable. They were brilliant. They were absolutely brilliant, right? And then another day they can go out and they can be absolutely shocking. I'm hoping. I was kind of half hoping. No, I can't say this because I love Palace. That they'd kind of take a bit of confidence into the Man City game next week. But you just don't know with Chelsea. They won't do anything, But I'll tell you one thing. They have a big name manager with 11 letters.
It's hopefully it's Arteta out in the summer.
Pochettino win, yeah.
Yeah, I know we take every game now till the end of the season, and just hope it works out in our favour come May. Next Wednesday, of course, is the last 16. Are you looking forward to the first leg against Porto?
No.
Yeah. That answers that. That's for next week's show. That's for next week's show. Look, that's
team left in it. So I said that the year I went over there, I think it was 2009, and so Campbell got a header. We've hammered him 5-0 at home. Super Nick got a hat trick, but yeah, I think Falcao scored twice. I think.
Yeah.
That superstar that once United been done nothing.
But that's next week's worry. Yeah. We've got to be incremental the way we look at this. Yeah. We've got to beat Burnley, and Porto is next week's worry.
We're going to win the league, the Champions League. That's all I'm saying.
Yeah. Okay.
Is there anything else? You're a very evil woman, Ivy. Is there anything else you'd like mentioning?
Stay off the drugs. Stay off the drugs, Jonathan.
They're serving me well. They're serving me well up to now. Sadly,
go back on the drink, mate.
I don't know.
I'd just like to say, John, I'd like to say something as well. If that's right, mate. I'd just like to say, if there's any internet service provider based in Dublin, could you please sort John Giles out with a decent connection?
Yeah. That's right. Yeah.
I don't know about Mikel Arteta's future, but additional there's 3 P45s being written up.
he's like Jonathan Fritzl there. He's in a basement, you know.
Yeah, I'm looking for an internet provider.
Yeah.
Get me over here.
Yeah.
Eamonn once again rude interrupts me. There's something you'd like mention about the supporters club?
No, the supporters club we're in good shape. We've managed our ticket allocations as best we can, but once again, without Sandra Duffy, it just wouldn't happen. And big hats off to her, you know.
Absolutely.
Is there anything you'd like mentioned about? Yeah. Is there anything you'd like mentioned about the UK Gooners, Ozzy?
No, all's good. Looking forward to Newcastle's next home game. We're drinking in the Woodbine. Come and say hello, buy us a beer.
Yeah, we're meeting up. Yeah. I just want to point out to you, Ozzy, that when you said Odegaard ran 26 miles, that's 41.2 kilometers. For our European listeners. For our European listeners.
I forgot that.
Second morning, I hear everyone shout.
Yeah.
Anything you'd like mentioned? Did you be in the river that day? No. That's a straight answer, isn't it?
Yeah.
This sounds like one of those old war movies, The Longest Day. You know when they had the code? The Germans are bombing. John had a long moustache. I repeat, John had a long moustache. I mean, get yourself some new kit, Jonathan.
Right, this will be Eamonn's last appearance on the show.
I've been trying for years.
Trust me, it's working.
You're an evil man, Jonathan. You should be with Ivy.
She's got good broadband. Gives her me way. That's thanks to Eamonn, Ozzy. Thanks for being sluts as always. Catch your show on the Dublin channel as always. We'll be back next Monday. So, good week.
Come on, you got us.
Come on.